Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at the Death Angels trailer by, well actually, technically the trailer doesn't actually recognize in the description who it's made by, but I think we all might recognize it from a little, Hell's Reachy subject matter. Wink wink, nudge nudge, say no more, say no more. Yes, I haven't binge watching Monty Python, it's stuck in my head, that and the fish slapping. Fish, 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 slap, slap, slap. Sorry, Monty Python kick. That said, this is honestly going to be really insane. Richard Boylan does a really damn good job animating. Also, having seen his Guardsman 2018, let's go with movie, I kind of think it's more of a trailer and I want to see the rest of it, even though technically it's the full one, but details. He's a really damn good director in live action too. And this is what Games Workshop hired a fan creator to make something original for them. This is both my reaction to what is happening and because YouTube requires it. Fucking A, man. Fucking A. I'm excited. So we're just going to jump right in, check it out, and I'm actually probably going to then just go back and just like tear this thing apart because I want to dig into this because we have a few seconds of what's going to be freaking amazing. And if it's half as long as Hell's Reach went, oh, be still my heart. And yes, that is as close to a southern accent as I will ever get, and I will never do it again. I already regret it. Yeah. Let's get started. So we got the Warhammer emblem. Also, I like how they have it in the movie format. It does really help. Ooh, God, the creepy skulls. Ah. Where were they at?
This is Captain Salkin of the Blood Angels strike cruiser Sword of Baal. Respond.
Blood Angel or Tech Priest, the first one? I think it was a Blood Angel, not a Tech Priest, but I thought I saw something coming out of the back.
We still cannot reach Captain Orfeo or his resident.
Is that a Storm Soldier? I also love all the facial gear.
There can be no light.
Was that a... I know the drop pods, but what was that thing next to them? Kind of looked like a... elevator? Oh, are they fighting Gene Stealers?
Shall be broken.
We got a Terminator at least, or a Captain in something.
I am lost. I am dead.
Oh, is that a power sword? Just so many little details to see how they animate them. Oh. Okay, so I'm just going to run through this and show a few details that I think are just really amazing. First off, where was it? Not here. Oh, pretty close. It'll work to do this. Okay, this opening scene. The detail on the server is not so much the skull, but the siding around it and the different banding, like the actual working of the metal. Normally in the actual model, they're just kind of flat and, because of obvious necessity, they have it very skinny. Actually, I can pull a model up. You can barely see it, but there's banding, and some of the smaller parts are just regular plastic because they're so small you can't put detail onto them. So it's why I see the servitor and I see the little banding right here. That's an amazing little detail. And then on the even smaller parts, you can see the individual ridges just highlighted in the shadow. That is cool. Now, what I'm really wondering is where are they at? Because I see this in the background, and I'm thinking sanguinary, but it could also be a monastery for the sisters. I think it's probably a monastery for the Blood Angels because it's the, freaking Angels of Death. It's the Blood Angels. Or one of their chapters. Variation, name. But still, Angel Boy's pretty sons, which is technically a very accurate name for every one of them. Ugh. But yeah, I think it's either probably Angels. It's just that face looks off. Now, it could just be that this is cutting off, and I'm going to see if I can get a better picture. Yeah, see, I think as much as I want to think this is a Blood Angel, something about that halo behind it, I'm thinking this might actually be more of a Sisters of Battle thing. Now, the wings, some of the Living Saints do that. I could be completely off here. Also, I wonder what this above it is. Is there a better picture? No, that seems to be about it. That's just one of those little details I'm wondering about because I think it's the sanguinary, well, not sanguinary guard, but I think it's something to do with Blood Angels. But at the same time, for some reason, it just seems more feminine. Granted, Primarch was a pretty boy, so could be. Also, he was also blonde, as far as I know. I'm wondering if maybe this is actually happening as something related to the sisters as well, and that's more just like a surprise coming in. But that's literally just what this relief makes me think. Moving on to the next part. This part right here. Now, I'm going with, I have no idea who she is. She seems to have something on her face. Either she's a support staff for the Blood Angels, and that's just a mark of the drop of ball, or blood of ball, whatever. There's a teardrop, I think. It's like one of the gems that they have on all their iconography. I don't actually remember the name because I don't play Blood Angels. Or she's just a random, ship captain giving orders. What I'm curious about, though, are these things. I want to say those are just decorative skulls that are actual stone, but with all the stuff around them making them functional for the Imperium and how they're probably based on cogitators, are these literally just giant stone skulls with more brains in them? Because that's kind of what the Imperium does to get 90s style, like literally 1990s style technology. So advanced and yet so really not advanced. But that's the Imperium. I'm kind of wondering what all these details... Like, I know none of this will be answered. It's just scenery, but it's beautiful scenery, and I love the detail that I can get into that. Also, because every time Games Workshop gets involved in something, even if sometimes the narratives are... and the gameplay are... usually there's two things they do really damn well. It looks right, and it doesn't break the lore too badly. Except in some of the novels, but they give so much leeway because, sometimes the novelist is wrong, and sometimes the lore is wrong, and that's an explicit part of the storyline. I'm like, no, that works in a codex where it's reports of things. When you have a first-person narrative as a novel, that does not work. More my issue with how they approach writing for different medium sources, specifically codex versus novel. Yeah, plus, they're better about it now. They were even worse with some of their older media. Yeah. Okay, now this, I'm just going to be completely honest, this entire scene right here, just seeing the space station, the space station and the battle barge, this is space porn for me. I love space battles. I love giant battle fleets. I love the look of space stations and sweeping arcs, and these are just... This looks cool. This right here, this looks functional. The space station with the docking clamp, docking arm, and considering the size of a battle barge, this is freaking huge as a comparison to size. And this, just look at this thing. There's like a good six things right there. Another 6 right there. This thing is massive. And then there's like a good 10 in this. There's 3 layers we can see. And there's probably a gap here. This is already a massive building if it was on Earth. And then it's probably even bigger because these are bay windows. And God help them, if they're floor-to-ceiling windows, they're even bigger. And the sheer scope and the scale in this is insane what they're portraying. And again, I go gaga for any of this. Like, look at this. This is so freaking beautiful. I don't play Battlefleet Gothic. I try, I suck. But I got it because it's so freaking many ships and it's beautiful. Yeah. Again, nothing really important to say here, just the scale is impressive that they're portraying, and spaceship porn. It's basically that. Now this, I just, as a cinematic point, I'm actually gonna, 1 second, see if I can pull this up. Like, just watch this. I like how they're introducing the first time we see a Blood Angel. And the very first thing you see, first you see the red, but it's in the dark, so you don't really see it. Like, check this out. From a cinematic perspective, here's what you're seeing. You see red, and you know Blood Angel, because it's Angel of Death. You expect to see them. And then you see this. Not really sure what this is at first, but you see this, you can't really tell what chapter, and you just see red. You move back a bit, and yeah, that looks like, I think this actually was the Tech Priest, because it has that extended backpack there. I could be mistaken, but that's what I'm thinking. Then, though, the next thing your eyes are drawn to is 2 things, actually. One right here, highlighting that it's a Tech Priest. I was going to say Mech Priest. That would be... Would that technically be an orc that worships the Imperium? Wouldn't be the dumbest thing I heard. Close, but not the dumbest. First, your eyes drawn here, and you see this, and you kind of just get the hint of what he is as the Tech Priest. Well, not really Tech Priest. He's the the equivalent in the Astartes. I need to figure that out. Huh? Yeah, sorry, just building a tech priest that's on my head. Freudian brain fart. And then your mind is immediately drawn, or your eye at least, is drawn right to here, because these are the two brightest points on the screen. Technically this counts, but that's more just a lens flare. You ignore that mostly. So you see here, you see the light, you see the highlight on the technology, and you get a bit of what he is. Drop down here, and you immediately see the red light. It's like, ooh, this is a little more ominous. Because red in generally, especially glowing red, is usually associated with ominous things. It's why things like Battlestar Galactica for the Cylons, even in the old version, had the glowing red eyes, because that's just an easy way to show evil. And this guy, I doubt he's evil because he's a blood angel. And yes, my nose is bugging me today. Then, the third point is right here. This is actually very noticeable because it's a brighter color, even if it's in darker shade, and this. So you see the fact that his helmet is on, of course, because unlike a lot of people who play with their guys without helmets, this just makes more sense. What I'm interested in though is, see this? Sorry, nose is really bugging me today. This right here, I know that's probably either a symbol of his order, or it's specifically a symbol of being I keep wanting to say tech priest. The Tech Marine, that's the word. Yeah, wow, I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. But I don't think I've ever seen them place it there, so that's actually just a cool little detail in my opinion. Just look at that. Also, the eye. As soon as that becomes visible, this entire face snaps into focus, and you just zoom in, and then it's looking down. Because you can see the positioning, at least from the camera angle, he's looking down on whoever he's speaking to or whoever he's looking at. It either shows distraction or that it's not even a big deal. And you don't look down on things like that. It's just, that is so cool. It's also a really good way to show an intimidation factor because these guys are hulking. If they're looking up, either they're looking at a massive threat that they're outclassed by, which doesn't build them up for a teaser well, or honestly, it's just a mistake and it kind of minimizes them. This, though, looking down at the audience, and his head is just slightly above in the upper half. So if you're looking straight on, you can get the impression he's looking down at you because he is huge. It's just one of those scale things that, or I guess more perspective, that emphasizes size. Also, just the bulkiness of the armor does that too, but this is one of a few ways. Moving on. Okay. See, I can see the teardrop. It doesn't look like the usual Blood Angel, so it's not their main chapter. It's probably the side. I can see part of what's around it, but honestly, I don't know Blood Angel iconography well enough to recognize it that easily. Also, side note, I like that you can tell where he's at, though. All the candles. I'm pretty sure this guy might be in the, I forget what it's called, but the place where they keep their relics. Or in the Blood Magpie sense, the thing they want to reach. I know what I said. Now here we get to see the first time we see a Space Marine, at least from the Death Angels. Blood Angels, probably successor chapter. Now from a sheer standpoint, just look at the detail on the face. This is actually showing off how much the facial feature animations have come between this and Hell's Reach. Hell's Reach was good, but sometimes it was harder to make out little details because, well, there was a heavily stylized black and white filter over a lot of it until the heat of the battle, and at that point, they mostly had helmets on. And when they did have people speaking, it wasn't bad, it looked good, but it was, done on a lower budget for free, which still looked freaking amazing. And by free, I mean if they made any money on ads, it was after the fact. To make it, you still have to make it first. So it's payoff is after rather than before, so it's always a risk. So this is just showing off that it does do it well. Oh, this is good. Walking through it, just showing how big this place is. I'm going to move back a second. Yep. See? Keeping with the 5, and I think this... Now, I wasn't thinking this when I watched the trailer, but watching it again, I do get the impression that this is more of a religious space. Not just because we saw the one guy kneeling, but because there's another person walking into it, and maybe I could be wrong. Everything in 40K has huge scale comparisons, but it just makes it feel bigger and more of a religious sacrament or sacrifice, not a sacrifice. A sacred ground in general. And while a monastery in general would fit that, I just get the impression that they might be defending something, either a monastery or convent. It might not be Sisters of Valor. It might just be a regular, religious section. And then, of course, this part. Just looking how fast it fires. I can't tell from here. It might be just how they portray a storm bolter. Or not a storm bolter, a regular bolter. But I would actually say that looks more like a storm bolter just because of how fast it's firing. I could be mistaken, but damn. Also, I'm trying to make out what these things are, and the legs are really screwed up. And wait. Oh, no. I'm going with Tyranids on this one, actually. Okay, now that's just... Okay, that bit of iconography, even that, I know. That's basic Blood Angels, right? Again, I don't play Blood Angels. I almost never have anyone around me who plays them. Yeah, don't know why. People kind of just missed on that one. A lot of people say they want to do this now. Yeah. I do like it, though, how it's really big. How it's not just painted on, but this is a big detail right there. But again, pretty sure that's a storm bolter just by the rate of fire. Now, I would try and compare it to how Richard Boylan did the animations in Hell's Reach for the bolters firing not that fast. But that could also just be an animation choice that they changed for this because it's just more what they want to portray it as. I can't really tell. Here, though, either gene stealers, like actual stealers because of the hands is what I'm thinking, or one of the grunt units for the Tyranids, possibly the gene stealer cult. But I'm going more with the actual Tyranid gene stealers myself. That's my personal guess, just on that few seconds. Now here, this. Something we don't really get to see much. Application of technology in the Imperium. We got all the different radars, the sonars, the data outlays. One of the problems with sci-fi is it's really hard to portray super high tech because you don't know what it'll look like, and generally it always looks bad by the time you're, a few years along the line because it's like, oh, remember when we thought this was good? 40K, on the other hand, is in a weird position where their tech is intentionally bad. Like, it looks old. It looks beat up. It looks like an anachronistic experiment gone wrong, and then you shot yourself in the everything, and this is what you managed to drag out of the remains. Which is actually a very good description of actually everything that happened before the 40K timeline started, with the multiple Armageddons humanity suffered, like the end of the Golden Age of technology, or the Dark Age, whatever, the end, the Age of Apostasy, all the terrible things, like literally, like the Age of Darkness. They suffered multiple apocalypses, so yeah, that's basically it. But the side effect is in portraying their technology. Like I said earlier, it's 90s level technology at its most annoying, honestly. And this is just beautiful because it doesn't age badly. It's supposed to look like it aged horribly this time period. Now, this is outdated technology that they're using as a basic operating system. Hell, I'm not even sure they're allowed to have more than just the basics that they probably couldn't support it on brain matter. Well, maybe. But just from a standpoint of just being able to portray it, this will age really well because it's intentionally looking outdated. And that actually gives it a better timeless quality. It's why it's easier to portray something in a set period rather than the future, because you can kind of guess it. This, though, gets around it because it's supposed to look bad. So as long as it looks outdated, it looks correct to how the people making this want it to look. And that is, honestly, actually really good and not intentional on their part, because that's been a motif of 40K in general. Portraying it this way, though, where they're overloading the screens and they still have the person with the cyber implants. Okay, one that actually freaks me out, but that's just... I like seeing the technology portrayal because it looks good and it will stay good for so long. Also, the face. I know it's not, but the first thing I think is like, oh, hey, look, an intercessor. It's like, I know it's not. You can see a Reaver looking with that face, but we know it's not. One, because I just don't think it would fit with the motif to bring in Primaris for what is just going to be an Angel of Death trailer, and they're not nearly as iconic yet by comparison to everything else Blood Angels. Also, I'm pretty sure this is just a regular guy with cybernetics. But still, first thought. Now, this is the part I thought was interesting. Of course, the first thing we have to say, I love the cloud detail. Like, just look how this moves. Look at this thing. Every single bit here is moving in different layers. And it actually looks like, oh, yeah, they're doing the classic thing where the background is moving to the right. The foreground is moving slightly to the left. Well, I'm going in reverse, so technically it's going the other way around. Oh, so you can see this is showing distance and how they're portraying it. I'm going to get to these in a second. So the background, okay, it's moving to the left, and the closer clouds are moving to the right. What that does is, even though this wouldn't really be able to provide much of a detail on where the viewer is coming from, just looking at it this way, you can see how we're moving because we're seeing how the clouds interact. That's just a little detailed. Now, it basically looks like we're changing direction, but it's also showing the clouds moving a little against themselves, which is just cool, and that's just freaking beautiful. And of course, drop pods. Those are the obvious ones coming straight in. This, though, it looks like a space elevator. I was struggling for the word earlier, but yeah, that looks like a space elevator. Because those kind of macro constructs, I don't actually know how prevalent they are in 40K. I mean, they would have to be if they want to do more, but I don't really know how they deal with just getting off planet. Like, do they just put on their ships and take off, like in some sci fiction? I do say sci fiction, specifically science fiction. I'm doing it that way. That's a thing now. Completely intentional, yes. Or do they have like other ways, like mass driver launching or space elevators? Who knows? Maybe they're a bit of both. Or anti-grav? Technically, they have the technology. I don't know, sort of. More of a Primaris thing, so that might be too old. New thing. Just, I like even the acknowledgement that this kind of thing would happen. Also, it could also not be a space elevator, but I don't really see why it would be anything else otherwise. Although, unless it's an outside, like, orbital thing, in which case this would actually be an anchor. Yeah, how to anchor really massive stations. If you want to build outside of a place where they could easily stay in orbit, build something that drags it into gravity. Yeah, also it's a really good pickup point at that point. Little bit of this dropping in, this is visual porn right here. This looks beautiful. It looks cool. It's iconic, and what that is the drop pod. And it's just stunning to see one of these making entry and seeing the sheer heat. I'm a little surprised, though, that this opening part isn't on fire, because in how physics work, that would be the thing. So, I mean, that just might be more, you wouldn't be able to see it if we went with an accurate physical representation of how it would work, because the biggest amount of heat would actually be in front of it, and then it would taper off instead of what we actually have as the heat is behind it. But that's just so you can actually see the drop pod. A physically accurate representation of physics affecting this would be, there's a giant ball of fire, and when it lands, we might be able to see it because it cools down. Also, we could see the back of it possibly, because that's actually not usually as hot. Yeah, they actually have it backwards. The heat should be down here, and this should be here. But that's, again, just visual details. So I'm going to call it as it is. Visual porn. It looks so damn good. Back to her. So she's probably a major character. Yep. No, I'm definitely going with that looks female there. We've seen this multiple times. But she also has a blood... Oh, maybe that's a guy. No, that's a female. But it looks like she has a Blood Angel emblem. Oh, maybe she's... Oh, okay, that might do it. Maybe this is the Blood Angel's ship, and she's just maybe the navigator? That little weird thing could just be a closed eye? Third eye? I actually don't know. And then we're moving forward. Oh, no, wait. I saw... Okay, maybe I was a little too far. Here. Oh, yeah, no, we know what this is. I think we all know what this is. Yeah, I thought it was earlier. Yeah, it's definitely Tyranids. If it's just Gene Stealers specifically, or any other type of Tyranid, I don't know, but it's definitely the Blood Angels versus the Tyranids, which they've really been pushing a lot. Like, there's the Blood of Baal, like the Revenge of Baal, the Resurgence of Baal, the Saturdays with Baal, Mori Goes to Baal, I Dream of Baal. There's just a ton of those. It's always just Tyranids versus I was going to say Death Eaters. Why the hell did I say Death Eaters? Tyranids versus Blood Angels. It seems to be the thing. They literally just can't stop fighting each other. And, oh, the tongue. Yeah, just... you think they would bite it off by now. Now this. Is he missing an arm? Oh. Yeah, because the shoulder boulder is so straight down, and that seems to be missing. Yeah. So this is literally a guy who looks like Terminator armor. Cataphractii, maybe? It's the older style because it's the more square. And then we see the sword in here, and that's... Pretty sure that's just a power sword. I love that effect. Like, normally when you see it, Games Workshop technically paints it up in blue, like a lightning effect. So I was expecting to see, like, basically a lightning sword out of Naruto. I'm trying very hard not to say who specifically was well known for using this specific sword variant of that, because I just feel he's an emo asshole. But enough about Sasuke. Ah, fuck it. Sasuke. I was expecting a sword effect like that, but no, they're going with a solid white glow, and at least from this angle, I'm going, yeah, they're aware Star Wars is a thing, and that definitely looks like a Star Wars blade, at least from this angle. Also, I can't tell if those are arms reaching through or just debris. I'm going with arms swarming it. Just the last stand being made. Oh, yeah, that's definitely them crawling over the place. Wow, I think I missed that before because I was paying attention to this guy, but that is actually terrifying how fast they're moving. And he's just standing. Ooh, okay. Flashing lights. Is that a Melta? No, that's an axe. Ooh. Something them all. And then, of course, oh, this is why I thought Gene Strip, because there's an obvious Gene Stealer here. Remember how I mentioned ship porn? Yeah. This entire scene right here, that is beautiful. Now, this detail I find really interesting. Look at the paint job. Not just the fact that they have the open drop pod, it crashed in the city. Surprisingly did very little damage for what, let's be honest, if something that big crashed in at terminal velocity, they should have taken out a good portion of the city. That's actually how physics would work. So I'm just going to say they fired their braking thrusters and fell much softer. Like, all of this should be destroyed. Like, every single bit by actual physics. But again, it's 40K. We'll ignore that. Excuse me. The interesting detail I really love, though, is look at the paint job. It's still red up here, but down here, charred. It's completely charred black. You can see it like being sloughed off here, all the different places where originally the paint was there. And it makes me wonder, when the Astartes use the drop pod, is it just like a fire and forget vehicle for them? Like, do they just litter their battlefields with drop pods and then just forget they're there? Or do they actually make a point to regain them and use them later? Because I wonder if they actually just have a bunch of people ready to paint up these drop pods again into the color red. Because it kind of looks like their paint job doesn't survive re-entry. But that is a beautiful detail to include, and I'm so glad they did it. I didn't even notice it at first, but like, yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing. Just so damn cool. And, excuse me, this right here is the iconic Space Marine face. Like, before we've had the variations of the text, which was close, but we had the eye. This one, though, we got the two little, I was going to say nodules, but nozzles. Nozzles? No. The tubing on that's the word. Tubing on this side, tubing on the other side. The glowing red eyes. This, going with the sergeants, captain, and lieutenant. I can never remember which one. Mostly because I never remember to paint them. Yeah, I need to get around to that. And you see that right there, and you just got the face on it. It's the freaking Space Marine. And there's that little detail of the dots here, and it's just the aesthetic is perfect. It looks knightly. It looks like someone who's a badass. It looks like they're ready for war. And you can see just with that armor and the glow, they are powered up and ready to go. And there's the fire in the background. It's beautiful. Now this one, yeah, it's interesting on this one because they're actually flashing around with this face instead of holding a solid shot. That, I'm not entirely sure what that implies. It almost looks like a mental effect. I'm going back for a second, actually. Yeah, normally when people have that little joke, like, not joke, when they jump around and where the face looks, but it's generally the same angle, they're trying to show like a mental break. And that's actually how a lot of different effects have been achieved. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a mental aspect to this as well, like something on the psychic level, because Tyranids, they're not non-psychic, and Blood Angels have a psychic component. Oh, Black Rage. Oh, I wonder if this is actually just a little spoiler of reliving a bit of what the Primarch felt. And this is how they're going to start showing it. Ooh. I don't know why, and I know it's not accurate, but the second I saw this guy, it's like, is that Horus? It's like, no, he's not. That's not how Horus looks. Especially because in the Black Rage, he wouldn't look sane because, rage. Also, red everywhere. No. I thought for a second he had a sword in his back, but he's drawing his sword. I'm just going to go slow. Just look at the detail on the digits. Oh, Oh, that is visual porn, guys. Visual porn. That's just like the wear, the tear, the gruff edges, like the dirt and grime getting behind the paint job and sloughing it off, and just the articulation used. That is so freaking cool. Oh, no, this is interesting. So I thought those were actually bits of the paint coming off, but it looks like if this is the drop pod launch, one, well, a little dirtier than I thought. Two, they weren't all red to start with. So I'm guessing that does go with they are picked up, they're reused, and the paint just hasn't been reapplied because this does not look fresh. It looks like it's been through hell and back a few dozen times. You can even see little dings and nicks. Like some of the paint is surprisingly stuck on, but you can tell it's been wearing off just through sheer usage. You can see it here too. Looks like these were never painted though, but the rest of it, yeah. So they do pick them up again. That is a thing. And just getting to see them launch. Oh, wow. Ooh, guardsmen in the background. And they're dead. Oh, yeah, we just got a guy who is literally cut in half back here. Because it looks like that laser fire just went right through him. Oh, and I think this is, if I'm mistaken, yeah, this is actually the guy we first saw. Putting his axe right into a Tyranid. Yeah. Oh, and there's the long head. Head. That's the word. I can speak. Yeah. Dude, there's so many things. And that's just regular bolter. Huh. So apparently that wasn't a storm bolter earlier. That was just how fast they want the regular bolter to fire. It does give a perspective if this is how fast a bolter fires. And it looks like, yeah, that. Dude, okay. See the lightning effect? They did add that in. I almost missed it. But it's only a few bits here. But that glowing effect, oh man. It almost looks like a lightsaber, except for that line down the center to show that it is still a physical weapon. And yeah, we're back to the guy as well who was standing in front of the horde while they were teaming around him. We see his face and, oh, that's the close-up we saw earlier. Oh, I recognize the ridge around the face guard. It would make more sense to drop your helmet right now, but you're probably dead either way, considering you're freaking missing an arm. Dude. We got the tech priest and, yeah, tech marine. It's a lot easier to see that part right here now. Ooh, he's about to get flanked. Just, I love how they decided to put that in there. And you only really see the guy when the muzzle flashes, like, oh, you know he's about to get hit. But that's beautiful. So we see a few distinct characters. The Terminator, he's distinct. And then that's the end of it. So yeah, we got the Terminator who's been disarmed. We got the Tech Marine who's about to get a surprise Gene Stealer to the backside. Looked more like a Gene Stealer, but could have also just been the four-armed aspect. And it seemed to be wearing clothes, actually. I usually don't pay attention if Gene Stealers are wearing clothes, but I cannot tell if that's clothing or skin. Like, it could be wrappings on the legs and, like, stuff there, but at the same time, it could just be segmentation and skin. And I actually cannot tell. I'm going with segmentation, but I could see the other way as well. Huh. And let's check out some of the names. Warhammer. Uh-huh. Yep. Directed by Richard Boylan. Huh, so he's only directing it. And then they have all music by Jonathan. Okay, one, he did an amazing job. Yeah. And Bowman. I'm going to pronounce this name badly. Modine? Yeah, whatever. Dude. As you can probably guess, I'm hyped right now. We just went through that entire thing, and there's so many details to pull apart. And this is just a freaking trailer. It's a teaser. Whatever is going to happen when this fully comes out, I am looking forward to it. There's the aspects of a spaceship porn, which I am a very weak person for. I can't stop not getting it. It's so freaking cool. It's why my favorite Star Wars movie was Return of the Jedi. Not because of anything to do with Jedi, but because the space battle and the executors, like the Super Star Destroyer, were so freaking cool looking. I loved every second of it. I even liked Last Jedi. Or not Last Jedi. What was the last movie? Oh, Rise of Skywalker? Because that space battle at the end. Yeah, it was a bunch of reused assets. And yeah, it didn't really do much, but it was spaceships. I'm easily pleased when it comes to spaceships. And then they just had all those images. You did see, though, how they had a lot more of a previous trope Richard Boylan had used in his Hell's Reach video. Specifically, in the earlier sections where it's not as hyped up for anything going on, there's a lot less color. Most people were in grays and blacks, so it was very similar to the aesthetic of the early Hell's Reach. They're not doing the shifting black and white, though. It's not overly produced. But there's so many details, you're not losing them in a shifting background. But the color aspect is the same. But then as it got more engaged, the armor got brighter, the lights got brighter on them. The flashing came from the weapons but added more light. So it actually made the overall picture brighter. And the way they achieved it is brilliant because the increase in light, the increase in color comes from the increase of muzzle flashes and just the other things going on causing light to exist by battle is the exact same thing he did in Hell's Reach. But he's adding a narrative reasoning for why, and it's so freaking cool in the 1 minute we have so far. I cannot wait for this to happen because I am looking forward to it. Oh, also the entire Rage Descends 2020. Yeah, Black Rage. We're going to see someone go Black Rage. And if I think it was that one guy who they had like the jerky movements of his head in the like second or two he was up, probably that guy. It'll be cool to see what that looks like from the inside or just happening in the screen. I'm looking forward to this. I'm sure no one's surprised about that at this point. So all the same, guys. Link below, original video. Hit it up. And if you can, go hit up Hell's Reach as well because that was awesome. It's on Richard Boylan's channel under his name. Hit it up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.